every year, my family and I pack shoeboxes with Operation Christmas Child that are filled with little gifts for kids who otherwise would go without Christmas that year. And the beauty of these boxes is it's not only filled with little gifts that kids get, but they get Jesus at every turn with Operation Christmas Child. And that's one of the things I love. And I love getting to meet adults who, as kids, got a shoebox. And Alex is one of those kid adults, who received a shoebox while living in Rwanda. To get a sense of what life was like and why the shoebox made such a big difference, what was it like being a kid living in Rwanda? What was your situation?
As a little boy growing up in Rwanda, I grew up at such a time when tribal unrest was at its greatest in the country of Rwanda. A little bit of the history of Rwanda is that in 1800s, people were divided in tribes. And because of that division of that tribe, hatred was created between two of the tribes, and that hatred continued to grow and grow. And in 1994, it burst out into a genocide. And that genocide against the Tutsi tribe continued to go on for 3 months. And within those 3 months, over 1 million people were killed and over 400,000 orphans were left in the country.
And this was a thing, too, because I've been to Rwanda and I've been to the Genocide Museum. It is heartbreaking. But you lived through this as a child. How old were you?
I was 6 years old when the genocide started. And at that time, I was living with my grandmother and my brother and my sister. And we lived outside of the capital city of Kigali. And since we were part of the Tutsi tribe, we were among the first people that they came looking for in our village. And unfortunately, our dear grandmother, was killed, and one of our uncles were killed. And it was such a difficult time, and as a 6-year-old boy, I could not fathom that my own neighbors, my own people that would do that to my family.
That's the thing, because a lot of times I don't know that everyone knows the history, and so they think, oh, it's these rebel groups and this, that, and the other. But it was neighbor against neighbor because of this division that was started by an outside party, too, that kind of riled everything up.
Yeah.
And so to see that and not even understand that as a 6-year-old, it's hard to understand as an adult why this happened, much less as a 6-year-old kid to see this happen. And you saw this firsthand, correct?
Yeah. We were right there when this genocide started, and it was a difficult time in our whole village. So once we lost our grandmother and one of our uncles, me and my brother, my sister, we ran from family to family. But along the way, as we ran from place to place, God was protecting us, because there was no reason that actually those militias spared our lives when they took our grandmother and our uncle's life. So when we were running, miracles after miracles, for example, when we lived with our aunt, and these men would come and attack us, and he would try to take our lives, and his weapons wouldn't work.
Man.
And running, and Wally, this is the most humorous way that God saved my life. I would end up slipping and falling in a cow pie, and a bullet would miss my head.
Oh, my goodness.
And
so you slip running through a field on cow pie, fall, and a bullet goes over you.
And a bullet missed my head. So I look back and see how God, there's a humor in that. And so, but God was doing so many miracles along the way to protect me. So at the end of this genocide, I'm put in an orphanage by my aunt, who also passed away not too long after the genocide because of illnesses. So in this orphanage, 250 kids, all of us had lost our loved ones. All of us are reliving everything we had seen in the night, because now we're having nightmares after nightmares. But one day, we were told to line up in the yard because we were going to get a gift.
Okay, now how could a Operation Christmas Child shoebox heal or help heal a child that has just seen the unimaginable, and a group of children that have seen the unimaginable? It's hard to believe that a shoebox could make a difference. How did that happen?
The Operation Christmas Child shoebox gift made a difference in my life, because it came at a time when I had lost all hope. All of us kids had lost our loved ones. In the night, we're having nightmares after nightmares. But when we were told to line up in the yard, and they said, today is a special day, you're going to get a gift, we ran, and they handed out these gifts. Now, these gifts were from Operation Christmas Child, but Samaritan's Purse, the organization that has the project of Operation Christmas Child, had responded right after the genocide. In 1994, in July, when the genocide ended, one of the first organizations that came in was Samaritan's Purse.
Really?
Yeah, they started to help people who were wounded physically. Then it was a year later in 1995 that they actually brought Operation Christmas Child shoeboxes to our orphanage. And for the very first time in my life, I got to receive a gift, and it was a shoebox gift. Now, that day was so special. It was so special. I remember when we got to line up and they hand out the gifts. And then they said, don't open your gifts until all of them have been handed out. You know, some of us...
As a kid, you're like, could you hurry this up, please?
Some of us had to hold our presents for about 5 long minutes, but we got to celebrate together. And for a moment, all of us kids were screaming. But this time, it was a different kind of screaming.
Yes.
We were not scared. We were not screaming because we were scared running for our lives. We were not screaming because someone was trying to chase us and take our lives. But we were screaming because we could not contain the joy of getting a gift.
That's amazing.
So we opened our shoebox gift, and I saw school supplies, I saw hygiene items, and I saw toys. And I remember deep inside my shoebox gift seeing a hair comb. So this hair comb was so unique. On one side had a brush, on another side had a little pick. So I'd pick my little afro that I had at that time. It was so fun. But the shoebox gift planted a seed of hope and love of Jesus Christ in my life. The tangible items that I got were awesome, made me feel so special that someone out there was thinking about me. But the shoebox went deeper and planted that seed of the gospel because the orphanage director used that opportunity to share with us about Jesus Christ. A seed was planted and God was doing something great.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, because I've gotten to go on a trip with Operation Christmas Child to see the boxes being delivered to kids and seeing the joy. And the one thing that struck me, because a lot of times, like, kids in America lose their mind on Christmas, and it gets very, like, selfish. Like, I want to hold on to this. This is mine. I've watched kids and families fight over the toys that year. And what was really amazing was everybody opened their boxes, and they all started sharing. They all started playing together. There was no, this is mine, this is yours, and holding back. It was all this moment of sharing, maybe because they were all experiencing getting something for the first time, you know, and I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, it is so special when a child receives that Operation Christmas Child shoebox gift. They feel so loved tangibly by receiving those items, but they also get an opportunity to hear about their Father, their Heavenly Father, Jesus Christ. And through the local church, as you got to see that, through the local church, when these shoeboxes are delivered, seeds are planted in kids' lives. They get to hear the gospel. So for me, in my life, once I received that shoebox gift, a seed was planted. And then a year later, I got an opportunity to join a choir, and I was in Uganda. And this is actually when God got a hold of my heart, because I started to struggle and ask, does God love me? Does God care? Does God exist? In those moments when I was asking these questions, I was blaming God for everything that happened in Rwanda.
And I think that's fair. I think most people, even as adults, would do that. If you love me, why this? And so to wrestle through that and process that as a kid is tough. So how did you get past that answer? Like, how did you settle that in your soul?
God had sent me people to water that seed that had been planted by that shoebox gift. And I was being discipled by these mentors that God sent in my life. And I remember I was reading the Bible, helping me to read the Bible and understand the Bible. And one day I came to this verse in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, where it says that, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans of welfare and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. Then you call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will hear you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." As a 9-year-old, I didn't know who God was talking to, but I looked back and see how God, He had a plan for my life. And I saw the miracles that He did for the very first time in my life. I saw those miracles. For example, when those men's weapon didn't work, falling on a cow pie and a bullet missing my head, and then receiving that Operation Christmas Child shoebox gift that brought me so much joy, because I didn't need anything big as a little boy. I needed some gift, that Operation Christmas Child shoebox gift, to remind me that I was special, and it reminded me of God's presence. So when I realized that God's presence was with me, that's when I gave my life to the Lord.
Man.
Yeah.
See, that's so cool. And now you're paying it forward, you know, and you know, packing shoebox gifts for other children. And so what does that mean for you, especially knowing what the shoebox gift meant to you back then? What does it mean that you get to pay it forward now?
Yeah. When I pack an Operation Christmas Child shoebox gift, it is always a special day for me. I'm always thinking of that day when I got to receive that shoebox gift and what that meant to me, introducing me to the love of Jesus Christ. And I love always putting in the items that I got. And so I love sharing the testimony, so that to encourage that one person who is maybe wondering, does this make a difference? Does packing a shoebox gift, an Operation Christmas Child shoebox gift, make a difference? And I hope if you're listening that it sure does make a difference, because each and every child who receives a gift gets an opportunity to hear about Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Yeah. And then when I look back and see, since 1993, over 209 million shoeboxes have been packed and delivered. And that is over 209 million children who got to receive a gift, me being one of them. But if we look at, let's say, India alone, there are over 400 million children in India who are eligible to receive shoeboxes. And there are children all over the world, millions more children who are able to receive shoeboxes. And that's why we ask, would you pack one more shoebox gift, so that one more child, just like I was, a 7-year-old, could get an opportunity to hear the gospel.
Absolutely, because that's what
me.
OCC does so well, is that every kid, those 209 that got a gift, they also got Jesus with it. Now, some accept, some don't, but it's a discipleship, and they keep pouring into the lives of these kids. And you are living proof that it works, and it works well. You got to go back to Rwanda to deliver shoebox gifts to the same orphanage where you grew up in. I can't even imagine how inspiring that was for those kids to see you. You know, you had to be kind of a legend, a rock star there.
It was so special to go with Operation Christmas Child to the orphanage that I grew up in to deliver shoeboxes, and it was so special when we got to share the gospel with the children who were there and see their faces. I literally stood in the same place that I stood as a 7-year-old, receiving a shoebox gift, this time handing out a shoebox gift.
That's
that
so
was
cool.
Such a special moment that I will never forget. And getting to see the faces of the kids and how excited they were, getting to see them scream with excitement just the way I screamed with excitement, and knowing that they're not just going to stop there, but they're going to hear the gospel. There's follow-up after that through their local church. It was such a special moment.
Well, that was the joyous part of your trip, but you also had a chance to visit the prison and the man responsible for taking your uncle's life. What did you say to him? I mean, that would be, I can't even imagine what I would do in that moment.
Yeah. In my faith journey, I struggled for many years thinking that God didn't love the people who committed crimes upon my family. When I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, I remember one of my mentors coming to me and asking, Alex, tell me a story. What happened in your life? And because of that question, I shared my testimony for the very first time. And then she asked me, Alex, what if you sit with the person who has caused you the most pain in your life? What would you do? And I knew who the person was, and I knew where they were. So I started to pray this audacious prayer. Lord, give me the opportunity to be able to see those people. So I actually pursued it multiple times. But in 2013, that's when God chose to answer that prayer. And we went to the prison, and the process that usually takes about 3 weeks. In about 3 hours, we're able to see the man and found out new information, actually, that the person who killed my grandmother fled, but the guy who killed my uncle was the one who was still there, and we were able to have a conversation with him. And I was able to ask him to tell me his side of the story, because that was a prayer that I've been praying. And it was the toughest day of my life. And that was on March 15th of 2013, the toughest day of my life, but also the most freeing day of my life, because that anger and that bitterness that I had was taken away from me. And I asked him, do you remember me? And he would say, no, I don't remember it specifically, but I remember 3 children being there. And he would say, especially that older girl. The older girl was my sister. In that moment, I would lose it, in that moment, I would be in tears. But I remember having this sense of peace, realizing that God loved him as well, and that is the gospel that I was missing out, and that is the same gospel message that is sent with each and every shoebox gift that is packed, realizing that God cares for the child, God even cares for that person who is causing people pain. So it's a humbling experience that I'm grateful that God was able to transform my own heart, and I pray to this day that each and every child that receives an Operation Christmas Child shoebox gift, their hearts can be transformed with the gospel of Jesus Christ.
There you go. And that is the full circle story of not only Alex, but of a shoebox and the difference that it makes, and it's life altering for people. And so Monday is the last day to get your shoebox in, and it's a great family project for the weekend. Take your kids, do this with them, have them get excited about what they can cram in there.
Yeah,
what are some good things to cram in a shoebox, Alex?
Yeah, some of the fun items you can put in a shoebox gift is a wow item. So wow items such as a soccer ball, stuffed animals, like sewing kits or
and soccer
stools.
balls, you just deflate them
and put in a pump.
Make sure you put a pump and a needle in there, because there's nothing more frustrating than getting a flat soccer ball.
But I encourage people, take that Operation Christmas Child shoebox gift as you pack it. If you shake it and you hear something moving, that means there's still space.
That's right. It's not ready to go.
Yeah,
we
put something
fill
else
ours
in
to
it.
the brim, man. My wife is. I'm sitting on it, and she's clamping it down and taping it. You know, because it makes a difference to these kids. And again, they get Jesus at every turn. So please, please, please do this with your family this weekend. And if you need all the information on where you can drop it off, what you can put in, and all that stuff, SamaritansPurse.org/OCC. That's SamaritansPurse.org/OCC. And Alex, thank you, man. I appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you, Wally. Thank you so much for having me on the air. And happy National Collection Week. Happy packing Operation Christmas Child shoeboxes, and have fun.